The agent watches his past self, the young man, now named John, stares intently at the young woman, Jane, in the hospital bed. John is visibly distressed by her story, particularly the revelation of her forced hysterectomy and the theft of her baby. He sees the profound injustice, the echoes of his own orphaned existence. Jane, still recovering, lifts her hospital gown slightly, revealing a long, jagged scar across her lower abdomen. Her voice is flat, devoid of emotion, as she explains the irreversible damage. John's eyes are fixated on the mark, a silent testament to her trauma. He is deeply affected, a silent fury brewing within him, a desire to right the wrongs that have been inflicted upon this person he feels an inexplicable connection to. This shared sense of profound loss, of being robbed of a future, binds them in an unspoken way, though neither fully comprehends the depth of their connection yet. The agent, from his vantage point, feels the familiar pang of memory, knowing exactly what is unfolding and what is yet to come. Jane recounts the day her baby was stolen from the hospital nursery. The heartbreak is palpable in her voice, a raw wound that has never healed. She remembers the empty bassinet, the frantic search, the cold, official explanation that her child was simply gone, adopted by an unknown family. John listens, his face a mask of sympathy and growing anger. He identifies deeply with the idea of being an orphan, of having no roots, no family. He understands the profound void that such a loss leaves. The agent, observing this crucial interaction from a distance, feels a tightening in his chest. He knows this pain intimately, the ache of not knowing where you come from. He watches as Jane describes the helplessness, the bureaucratic indifference, the crushing finality of her situation. She has never stopped looking, never stopped wondering. John's resolve hardens. He wants to help her find this child, to bring closure to this devastating chapter of her life. He feels an undeniable pull towards her, a desire to protect her. Later, in a quiet diner, the agent approaches John. He offers John a job, an opportunity to make a real difference, to prevent suffering. He speaks of a clandestine organization, of time travel, of righting wrongs. John, still reeling from Jane's story and his own sense of aimlessness, is intrigued but skeptical. The agent, calm and persuasive, paints a picture of purpose, of a life beyond the mundane. He explains that this organization works to correct paradoxes, to ensure the timeline remains stable, but also to prevent major catastrophes. John asks about Jane, expressing his desire to help her. The agent nods subtly, hinting that perhaps, in time, John will have the means to do just that. He emphasizes the importance of anonymity, the need to sever ties with his past life. John, feeling a deep dissatisfaction with his current existence and a burning desire for meaning, is drawn to the offer. He sees a chance for redemption, not just for Jane, but for himself. John agrees. He undergoes a series of procedures, including extensive facial reconstructive surgery, to alter his appearance completely. The process is painful and disorienting. He emerges with a new face, a new identity, a blank slate. He is no longer John. He is a new man, ready to embark on a life of secrecy and consequence. The agent supervises the transformation, a silent, knowing presence. He understands the profound psychological shift that accompanies such a radical change. This isn't just a new face. It's a new being, molded for a specific purpose. The mirrors reflect a stranger, a face he doesn't recognize as his own. There is a sense of liberation, but also a haunting loss of self. His old life, his old face is gone. The world will no longer recognize him. This anonymity is both a shield and a burden, preparing him for the isolated path he is about to walk. The past is erased, the future is uncertain. John, now the new recruit, begins rigorous training at the Temporal Bureau. He learns to operate the Time Displacement Unit, a complex, wrist-mounted device that allows for precise jumps through time. He studies historical events, paradox theory, and the delicate art of intervention. His mentors emphasize the strict protocols, the dangers of altering the past carelessly, and the importance of minimal interference. He is taught to observe, to nudge, but never to directly change major events unless absolutely necessary to prevent a larger catastrophe. The training is intense, physically and intellectually demanding. He proves to be a quick study, driven by an innate sense of purpose. He excels at the theoretical aspects, grasping the intricate logic of temporal mechanics. The agent, now his superior, watches his progress with a keen eye, guiding him, pushing him. He sees the potential, the raw talent, and the inevitable path that lies ahead for this new operative, a path he has already walked countless times. His first mission is a simple one: observe a minor historical anomaly, ensure no significant paradox occurs. He is sent to a bustling city street in the past, a seemingly innocuous assignment designed to test his skills and adherence to protocol. He wears a nondescript suit, blending in with the era. The thrill of time travel, the surreal experience of witnessing history unfold, is intoxicating. He navigates the unfamiliar streets, carefully observing the designated target, a small-time criminal whose actions could, in a butterfly effect, lead to a larger disruption. He feels a sense of power, a responsibility he's never known. The agent monitors his progress from a control room, watching every move, every decision. He knows the weight of this responsibility, the constant vigilance required to maintain the delicate balance of the timeline. This is the beginning of John's journey, a path that will lead him back to his own origins, though he doesn't know it yet. Years pass, marked by a series of successful missions. John becomes a seasoned temporal agent, respected for his efficiency and dedication. However, one elusive target continuously frustrates the Bureau: the Fizzle Bomber, a terrorist responsible for devastating attacks across multiple timelines. The bomber is a ghost, always one step ahead, leaving a trail of destruction and temporal anomalies. The agent, now older and wearier, is obsessed with catching the bomber. This particular adversary is a constant source of frustration, a threat that seems to defy all logic and temporal intervention. The bomber's attacks are precise, seemingly random, and incredibly destructive, causing significant temporal ripples. John is tasked with tracking the bomber, a mission that consumes him, pushing him to his limits. The pursuit becomes personal, a relentless game of cat and mouse through the corridors of time. He pores over case files, analyses temporal signatures, trying to predict the unpredictable, to catch the uncatchable. The agent, knowing time is running out, prepares for his final, most critical mission: to prevent the Fizzle Bomber's deadliest attack. He activates his time displacement unit, setting the coordinates for a specific date and time in the past. This is his last chance, his last opportunity to stop the chaos. He feels the familiar jolt of temporal displacement, the disorienting sensation of tearing through the fabric of time. He lands in a bustling city street, years before the current timeline, dressed in a trench coat and fedora, his face etched with determination. This is the moment, the nexus point where everything converges. He knows this mission will demand everything from him, that it will be a culmination of his entire existence. The weight of countless timelines rests on his shoulders. He has no choice but to succeed, to prevent the devastating future he has witnessed. He is ready to face the ultimate paradox, the ultimate truth. He enters a dimly lit bar, the very bar where, in a previous loop, he had met his past self, John. He orders a drink, his eyes scanning the room, searching for the familiar face he knows so well. He is here to recruit John, to set him on the path that will lead to his own transformation. The air is thick with anticipation. He knows the words he will speak, the story he will hear. He knows the precise moment John will enter, drawn by an unseen force. He sips his drink, the taste of whiskey a familiar comfort in the face of the monumental task ahead. He is both the recruiter and the recruited, the orchestrator and the pawn. The paradox is already in motion, an unbreakable circle. He sees John enter, his younger, unscarred self, looking for a story. The agent takes a deep breath, preparing to initiate the conversation that will define both their lives, or rather, his one life. John, unaware of the profound connection he shares with the man across the bar, begins to tell his incredible story, the story of Jane. The agent listens, feigning surprise, feigning interest, though he knows every word, every painful detail. He hears about the orphanage, the loneliness, the feeling of being an outsider. He hears about the bright, intelligent girl, ostracized for her unique qualities. He hears about the stranger, the love, the pregnancy, the devastating betrayal. Each word is an echo of his own past, a mirror reflecting his own experiences. He watches John's face, seeing the raw emotion, the lingering hurt. He feels a profound sense of sympathy, a deep understanding of the journey this young man has endured. He knows the weight of this narrative, the importance of every detail. He knows the power of the story to shape a destiny, to set a new trajectory for this young, lost soul. The agent nods occasionally, offering just enough encouragement for John to continue. As John finishes his story, the agent reveals the truth. He tells John that he is the man who seduced Jane, the father of her child, the one who left her. John is horrified, enraged, grappling with the shocking revelation. The agent explains that he is also John, that they are the same person, caught in an unbreakable temporal loop. He shows John his scarred face, the same scars John will acquire later in life. He explains the surgery, the transformations, the necessity of the paradox. John's world shatters around him. The agent explains that he took Jane's baby, a baby who would grow up to be John himself, and then become Jane, who then becomes the agent. He is his own father, his own mother, his own child. The closed-loop paradox is complete. John stares, his mind reeling, trying to process the impossible, the unfathomable truth. The agent watches his younger self, seeing his own past shock and disbelief reflected in John's eyes. The agent then guides a stunned John to a time machine, explaining that John must now go back, seduce Jane, get her pregnant, and then leave the baby at the orphanage, thus ensuring the cycle continues. He hands John the time displacement unit, explaining its operation, the precise coordinates. John is overwhelmed, a mix of anger, confusion, and a terrifying sense of predestination washing over him. He resists, but the agent is firm, his voice laced with the unwavering logic of the temporal paradox. There is no other way. The timeline demands it. The agent explains that this is his purpose, his destiny, a fate he cannot escape. John looks at the device, then at the agent, seeing his own future, his own past, all wrapped into one impossible, terrifying present. He is trapped, bound by the very fabric of time. He takes the device, his hand trembling, understanding the weight of the task. He is about to become the very person he initially despised, the architect of his own tragic origin. John, now transformed into the stranger who seduced Jane, travels back in time. He watches Jane from afar, a young, innocent woman, unaware of the tragic destiny that awaits her. He approaches her, beginning the courtship that will lead to her pregnancy. The agent, observing from a temporal distance, feels the familiar pang of his own history unfolding. After the birth, John, fulfilling his predetermined role, steals the baby from the hospital nursery. He takes the infant to the orphanage, leaving him on the steps, ensuring his younger self's existence. He feels a profound agony, a mother's love and a father's sacrifice intertwined. This is his child, his past, his future, all in one tiny bundle. He is leaving himself, a helpless infant, to grow up alone, an orphan, just as he had. The cycle is complete, the paradox sealed. He is the mother, the father, the child, all at once. The emotional weight of this act is crushing, a testament to the inescapable nature of his own existence. Years later, after John has lived out his life as an agent, pursuing the Fizzle Bomber, he finally corners the elusive terrorist. The confrontation takes place in a desolate, abandoned building. The bomber, unmasked, reveals himself. It is the agent himself, his older, fragmented self, driven mad by the constant temporal jumps and the endless paradoxes. The agent stares at his own reflection, a distorted, malevolent version of himself. The Fizzle Bomber is not a separate entity, but a manifestation of his own fractured psyche, the ultimate temporal anomaly. He is the perpetrator of the very crimes he has spent his life trying to prevent. The realization is horrifying, a mind-bending truth that shatters his understanding of reality. He has been chasing himself, fighting himself all along, the ultimate paradox. He creates the very chaos he seeks to contain. The loop is closed, but the implications are devastating. The bartender, having finished his story, now watches the young writer intently. The writer's face is a mask of dawning comprehension, a strange mix of recognition and horror. He studies the bartender's eyes, then his own hands, a tremor starting in his fingers. The bartender merely smiles, a knowing, almost melancholic expression. He points to the writer's left hand, specifically to a small, faded scar on the back of it. The writer looks down, tracing the mark, a memory surfacing. He remembers the burn from the broken chemical bottle, the agonizing pain, the disfigurement that had driven him to seek a new face. The bartender's words, calm and deliberate, begin to unravel the fabric of the writer's perceived reality. He speaks of a future the writer hasn't lived yet, a past the writer has forgotten, and a present that is far more complex than he could ever imagine. The air in the bar thickens with the weight of revelation. The bartender continues, explaining that after the explosion, the writer underwent extensive reconstructive surgery. The surgeons, unable to restore his original features, gave him a new face, a different identity. This new face, the bartender reveals, is the very face the writer now possesses. The writer touches his cheek, his brow, his jawline, a profound unease settling over him. He tries to recall the surgeon's face, the details of the hospital, but it's all a blur, a fog in his memory. The bartender clarifies that the trauma and the drugs often cause amnesia, a convenient blank slate. He then describes the writer's rehabilitation, his struggle to adapt to his new appearance, and his eventual recruitment into the Temporal Bureau. The writer, stunned, can only listen, his mind racing to connect the fragmented pieces of his life. The bartender's narrative is precise, chillingly so, filling in the gaps that the writer himself could never account for. The bartender explains the Temporal Bureau's methods, their meticulous use of time travel to prevent paradoxes and maintain the delicate balance of history. He reveals that the writer, after his recovery and new identity, became an agent for this very bureau. His first significant assignment, the bartender states, was to travel back in time to 1970 and ensure the successful birth of a particular individual. This individual, the bartender emphasizes, was crucial to the timeline. The writer's mission was to facilitate the union of a young, ambitious man and a brilliant, yet naive woman. The writer remembers fragments of his training, the briefings, the overwhelming sense of purpose he felt. But the specific details of that first mission, the faces of those he was meant to guide, remain frustratingly elusive. The bartender gestures to the time displacement unit, its intricate mechanisms humming softly, a silent testament to the technology that binds their fates. The bartender then unveils the chilling truth. The individual the writer was sent to ensure the birth of was none other than the writer himself. He explains that the writer, as an agent, traveled back in time, met Jane and unknowingly or perhaps knowingly impregnated her. The bartender details Jane's lonely delivery, the theft of her child, and her subsequent journey to become the unmarried mother. The writer's eyes widen as the full horror of the paradox crashes down upon him. He is his own father, his own mother. The bartender recounts how the writer, after leaving Jane, continued his missions, eventually encountering the young writer in this very bar, guiding him through his past, just as he is being guided now. The cycle is complete, a self-sustaining loop with no discernible beginning or end. The young writer is trapped within his own history and Ouroboros of identity. The bartender then reveals his own identity in this intricate web. He is the future version of the writer, the one who has lived through all these events, the one who has facilitated his own creation and manipulation. He explains that after the writer completes his current mission, he will continue to serve the Bureau, growing older, more weary, and eventually taking on the role of the bartender. The bartender's purpose is to guide his past self, the writer, through these crucial junctures, ensuring that the timeline remains intact. He recounts the slow erosion of his own memories, the blurring of his past and future selves, until all identities merge into one continuous, ever-repeating existence. The burden of this knowledge, of being the sole architect and victim of his own life, is etched onto the bartender's face. He is the ultimate paradox, the one who created himself, the one who perpetuates himself. The bartender pours himself another whiskey, his movements fluid and practiced, a silent commentary on the countless times he has performed this very act. He explains that the entire operation, the very existence of the Temporal Bureau and its missions, revolves around maintaining this singular, self-perpetuating loop. There is no external origin for the writer, no original creation outside of this endless cycle of birth, transformation, and manipulation. The writer is an entity born from himself, forever trapped in a Mobius strip of time. The bartender emphasizes that attempts to break the loop, to find an external origin, have always resulted in paradoxes and the unraveling of reality itself. The only way to ensure existence is to continue the cycle, to perpetuate the impossible. The bartender raises his glass, a toast to their shared, singular, and deeply unsettling existence. The writer stares at the glass, then at his own trembling hands. Now, the ultimate truth about the Fizzle Bomber is revealed. The bartender explains that the bomber is also himself, a future, unhinged version of the writer who has grown bitter and disillusioned with the endless cycle. This future self, driven mad by the realization of his own self-creation and the lack of an external purpose, attempts to destroy the timeline, to break free from the loop by preventing his own existence. He plants the bombs, hoping to disrupt the very events that lead to his birth and transformation. But, as the bartender calmly explains, this attempt is futile. Each act of bombing, each attempt to break the cycle only serves to reinforce it, to create the very conditions that necessitate his past self's intervention. The Fizzle Bomber is not an external threat, but an internal rebellion, a desperate cry against a fate he cannot escape. He is the shadow of the writer's own despair. The bartender concludes, his voice a low hum in the now silent bar, that there is no first version of the writer, no original point of creation. The writer, Jane, the unmarried mother, the bartender, and the Fizzle Bomber are all the same person, cycling through different stages of existence, each identity a facet of a singular, impossible being. The egg came from the chicken, which came from the egg. The cycle is the origin. The writer stares at his reflection in the polished bar top, seeing not just his own face, but the faces of Jane, the bartender, and a hint of the madness of the bomber. He is a perpetual motion machine of identity, a being without a true beginning, forever creating and being created by himself. The realization is crushing, suffocating in its completeness. There is no escape, no external salvation, only the endless, relentless spinning of the loop. He is both the cause and the effect, the creator and the created. The bartender rises, his mission complete, the truth laid bare. He hands the young writer a final, cryptic instruction, a path forward into his own preordained future. The writer, numb with the weight of his identity, can only nod, his mind reeling from the revelation that his entire life, his very being, is a carefully orchestrated paradox. He is destined to become the bartender, to guide his past self, to be his own father and mother, and eventually, perhaps, to become the desperate bomber trying to end it all. There is no external force, no grand design, only the self-perpetuating cycle of one individual. The bartender turns towards the time displacement unit, its hum growing louder, a portal to the next stage of his own endless journey. The writer watches him go, knowing that his own departure is only a matter of time, that his path is already laid out before him, written by his own future self, for his own past self. As the bartender steps into the shimmering portal, he glances back, a final, knowing look that encompasses all the pain, the sacrifice, and the inevitability of their shared existence. The young writer stands alone in the bar. The echo of the time machines hum the only sound. He is no longer just a writer. He is Jane, he is the unmarried mother, he is the bartender, he is the bomber, and he is the future self waiting to guide his past. The weight of this singular, paradoxical identity settles upon him, heavy and inescapable. He knows what he must do next, where he must go, and who he must become. The cycle demands it. His next mission awaits, a mission he has already completed, and will complete again, for all eternity. He takes a deep breath, the scent of stale whiskey and temporal displacement filling his lungs, and prepares to step into his own future, which is his past, which is his present. To continue this incredible journey through time and identity, join us for the next movie recap.